We are now ready to talk about the third key. So we've already talked about structures, we've talked about creating teams. The third key is management. And when we refer to management, we're talking about what a teacher does to help their classroom run smoothly. And I can't stress enough how important this is. It's important in every class, regardless of any grade level. But when you have a cooperative learning classroom where you're going to have that simultaneous interaction happening, it becomes even more important. And you're going to have students up and moving. So some of the key components that we need to think about in a cooperative learning classroom are the following. Managing noise. We've already talked about the critical element of having a quiet signal. This week, I did a demo science lesson for a 4th and 5th grade class. And the first thing that I did, because I was going to have them, I had them in teams, working in groups, is I established that quiet signal. And it worked really well throughout the rest of the lesson. The next one is room arrangement and seating. So you have to think about how you can structure your groups so that students can see the whiteboard, your screen, so that they can interact with each other, so that they can get up and move, because we're going to be doing Find Someone Who and Quiz Quiz Trade and Mix Freeze Group. So there needs to be accessibility. Also managing materials. Are you going to have group space where they can have their group sets of markers and scissors and rulers and textbooks? And what do they have that they need individually? What do they have that they need specifically for their groups? And I want to show you a visual. And look at this one. They're sitting in groups. But when I look at that, here's what I see. Things like this table being higher than this one, that makes it difficult if you're having them do a numbered heads together, or it makes it difficult for these students to lean in because they're at a different height. Also, look at how closely clustered these tables are. So if the students get up, chances are they're running into each other. There are backpacks blocking the way. I don't see where they're storing their materials, which is probably why you see all these backpacks around. So this first classroom is a recipe for disaster. If you look at this second one, and I know there aren't students in this picture, but look at the difference. You have space between the tables. You have areas here where it looks like they can store their immediate materials. Then this is a neat idea. Each team has their own storage bin as well, which I'm sure they have their paper in there. Maybe that's where they're putting their work when they're completed. They have their textbooks. But look at how nicely that's set up. This is a cooperative learning classroom that's set up to give students ample workspace, to keep things organized, free from clutter, to give them space to get up and move around. That's what we want to see. So how you set up your classroom is incredibly important to have successful management. Also, part of management is how you give directions. So as we've already mentioned, when you're teaching a new structure, to have very clear, specific directions, to model them, to have the directions up like in bullet form up on the board, on your PowerPoint, so that students can refer back to it. Successful directions can make or break an activity in a cooperative learning classroom. And then also solving team problems. This is part of management because you are going to have times where a team can't agree or where they feel like a team member is not pulling their weight. So being able to help students work through those types of management issues so that they can feel successful is incredibly important. On to the fourth key, which is class building. And the definition of this is the process by which the teacher creates a caring community of active learners. And I hope you've been able to see classrooms where the teacher refers to the classroom as we are a family. And you'll see in the mornings they do a family greeting. At the end of the day, they do a family greeting. Or when visitors come into the classroom, the students will greet that visitor and say, "Welcome to our family." What the teacher is doing is working on establishing that caring community. And this is what students will remember. Not that stellar long division lesson, but that they felt like they belonged and were valued in that class. And it's probably the most important thing that we can do as teachers. So how do we do this? Well, it's a year-long process. We do a lot of this at the beginning of the year of students getting to know each other, but we have to continue doing these class building activities throughout the whole entire year. So some of the ways that we can do this is by using structures to get students interacting with their classmates. So we use structures for academic content, but we also use them to just get students interacting, getting to know each other, getting to work through issues, getting to celebrate the things they have in common, finding out similarities and differences. So I can use a find someone who just to help students get to know each other. Find someone who was born in the same month as you. Find someone who was born in a different state. Find somebody who likes a same TV show that you like. Find somebody who plays the same sport as you do. Those types of things to just establish those connections. Quiz, trade. We can do that instead of with the academic content with tell me one thing you like to do in your free time. And the student responds, the other student gives a praise, they trade cards, and then they're going and finding somebody else who can answer that question. Stir the class is an activity where we get students dialoguing. So we can use it to solve problems. So they're in groups of 4 and they're discussing how should we solve this problem that we're having in our classroom with students not showing up to school on time, or we're having a problem in our teams of coming to consensus. We can do this to just have students talk about, we come back from spring break, talk in your teams about what was the best thing that you did over the break. So it's just building that sense of community and validating each other and helping students learn how to value and appreciate each other. Also, we can do class meetings, and we can do class meetings to problem solve. We can also do class meetings to celebrate. For example, in my teaching, what I would do at the end of the day, as we were getting all of our homework taken care of, getting our backpacks filled with stuff, cleaning up the room, we would come over to the carpet. If you have older students, you can do it just at their desks. And I would just ask a simple question, and I had it up on a poster that I made. What would you like to celebrate about today? And we would talk about, especially at the beginning of the year, celebrate what we've learned, celebrate great things that happened. And at the beginning, I often had to model it, but after the first week, students would say all kinds of wonderful things. I would like to celebrate that Mrs. Reyes came in and read to our class today. I would like to celebrate that Maury had a really great day. He was really active, a really active listener. I would like to celebrate that Yasmin shared with me, I forgot to bring a pencil and she let me borrow one of hers. I would like to celebrate that we learned a new song. And basically what this did was it ended the day on a positive note. And think about how Maury felt when other kids recognized that he had had a really great day with his behavior. It gave him an incentive to want to do that repeat the same process tomorrow. And it also helped remind them of the things that had happened. So when they went home and the parents said, "What did you do today?" They didn't get a nothing answer, right? They got, because it was fresh in their minds. So very easy thing. We took the last 5 minutes of the day, but we ended the day on a positive note. And by celebrating each other and our accomplishments, it built that sense of camaraderie. So class building is really, really key.